If you are planning on buying a Jeep Wrangler in 2025, you better learn how to drive a stick shift because Jeep are canceling the automatic for the V6, and that is a pretty big deal because usually the companies go the other way these days and just put automatics into everything and ditches the manual. But if you're gonna get a 2025 Jeep Wrangler in 2025 with the V6, it's going to be a manual transmission. Personally, I just love that. I think the Wrangler is a good car to have in a manual transmission. So we're going to have a look at this article from Car Scoops, and then I'm going to show you the lineup of Jeep Wranglers for 2025. The entire lineup side by side, and tell you a little bit what's the differences between them. So 2025 Jeep Wrangler ditches crank windows as well. I can't believe it. They're ditching the crank windows. I personally love crank windows. I didn't even know that the Wranglers had crank windows in 2025. I think it's, it brings me back. Analog old feel. It has a nice, mechanical feel to it instead of just pressing a button. It's kind of charming in a way. Due to the extra equipment, the base price of the off-roader has climbed to $32,690. I do believe that is for the Sport. Wrangler Sport. It also gains standard power windows now and locks, as well as a newly available olive drab inspired paint color. We're gonna have a look at that in Photoshop as well because I picked the Sport, the base model, in this new olive drab inspired. I'm not sure what that means. Inspired color. Popular powertrain combination has been dropped entirely, and that is the 3.6 liter Pentastar V6, which will now be offered exclusively with a 6-speed manual transmission. It feels so weird to say that in 2024. A pretty, common or popular car that ditches the automatic for a 6-speed only. Now, the reason why they're ditching this is because they charge a little bit too much for the 8-speed automatic. So they charged $4,500 for the automatic if you wanted it instead of the 6-speed in 2024 for 2024 model years. And you could even get the same transmission, the 8-speed, from Mopar themselves. They sold the exact same transmission for $3,611. Jeep just added this Jeep tax onto this of $900 if you optioned it when you were speccing out your Jeep. So they say here they strangely proclaimed freedom of choice defines the available powertrains. So they take away a choice, and then they say the freedom of choice is what made them remove the automatic. To me, it sounds a little bit confusing to me. So customers who want an automatic will need to opt for the plug-in hybrid powertrain, which is the 4xe, which I just reviewed yesterday, coming up on the Sketch Monkey channel, and the turbocharged 2-liter 4-cylinder engine, or the 6.4-liter Hemi V8. I'm not sure if the 392 is still available in 2025. It would be cool if they still kept. I think they kept it for another year, if I'm not mistaken here. So the other big change for 2025 is the elimination of crank windows, as all Wranglers now come equipped with power windows and locks. That's a little bit sad. It feels like the end of an era when Jeep just ditched the crank windows. Last but not least, there is this new olive drab inspired paint colors known as 41. The model can also be equipped with a newly available active cabin ventilation system, which allows customers to better pre-ventilate the cabin via mobile app before entering the vehicle. I feel like a lot of car companies have already had that available for a very long time. Basically, remote climate control. You just turn it on and off. But now that's available for 2025 Wranglers, so that's fantastic. It's not surprising to see that the base price climbs from $31,995 to $32,690, and then you have the Sport S climbs $100 in 2-door guys, but drops almost $400 in the 4-door variant. The Willys sees $100 and $200 price hikes, while the Sahara falls by $400. However, it should be noted that all trims aren't listed and prices are not final yet for 2025. So with that said, let's jump in and check out the model, the lineup for 2025. And I do believe it probably the Sport and the Sport S. I'm not sure which one of these had the crank windows in 2024. But personally, what I would do, you still get four-wheel drive on pretty much on all Wranglers. That is all I need for my off-road aspirations. I'm not gonna go super hardcore on some crazy trails and put 37s on my Jeep. I would probably go with a sport base Wrangler like this with a 6-speed manual and just maybe switch out some wheels and tires here and have them be 35s, because the Sport here and the Sport S down low, they come with 32-inch tall tires, which it looks pretty good, but I would like to have a little bit beefiness onto these tires. So I would probably slap 35s on there. The base Sport here, this is the one I picked in this new olive color called 41, and I do think it looks very, very cool. It looks like the old Second World War Jeep colors in a new version, a little bit less green and more, as they say, olive. And as I said, if you go with the base here, either the Sport S or the Sport, they both come with 32-inch tall tires. However, if you decide to go with the wheelies here, you get a couple of new features that you don't get in the base models. And as you can see, the Sport now starts at $37,290. But if you jump up to the wheelies, probably the wheelies would also be a very interesting spec for me, because you get the 33-inch tall tires, so 1 inch taller tires here than the Sport and the Sport S. And in addition to that, you also now get a rear locker, which is pretty good if you want to go off-road and just planning to take this on some more rugged trails. Then we come up to the Sahara here, which has 18-inch wheels. You also have body-colored fenders and full LED lighting in the Sahara. So the Sahara here is supposed to be a mix between luxury and off-road capability, and that is why they decided to go with some more regular road tires than off-road tires. And you also get 1 inch larger wheels here, so 18-inch instead of 17s like we have on pretty much every other Wrangler. A good choice if you just like Wranglers, but you want it to be a little bit more comfortable on the roads than the other variants that we have here. $49,370 starting price for the Sahara for 2025. And you do get the LED fog lights down here, LED headlights as well. I do love the design of the refresh, where they put the position lights here and the this little light, orange light here, into the front fender itself. I think that's such a cool little integration of that detail, in addition to a new grille which carves out these very far end slots. As you can see, the headlights carving those out. I think it looks very, very cool. The wheelies here in this specific spec in the gray looks great with these stock wheels and tires. Probably not switching out these wheels to 35s. 33s looks pretty good on here. Now moving on to the Rubicon here, and this is where you get serious for off-roaders. You get front and rear locking differentials. You also get 35-inch tires as a package. You can option it for it, and front disconnecting sway bar. So there is a lot of, there's a huge step here from the wheelies into the Rubicons when it comes to the off-road capability. You also have hill descent control and crawl control and stuff like that for the Rubicons. Looking great. I would definitely go with the 35s here and option that from factory. Still have the LED lights down low, the fog lights, LED headlights, and the indicator. I think this is just the position light. The indicator is actually in the circle itself. Last but not least, you have the Rubicon X. Essentially very much like the regular Rubicon, but now you have steel bumpers. You have a full leather interior as well, looking very cool in this red color. I do like these wheel designs. I do think you have 3 different wheel designs to choose from Jeep when you spec your Wrangler. And this one, the Rubicon X, starts at $62,000. And it also comes with these body colored fenders, as you can see, that we didn't have on the normal Rubicon. So overall, the refresh for 2025 for the lineup here for Jeep Wranglers, it's a very interesting decision by Jeep to ditch the automatic for the V6. But as I said, it's sort of a refreshing change from Jeep, because we don't really see that happening anywhere else in the car industry. But unfortunately, we also lose the crank windows, which I think was such a cool thing to have for a brand new 2024 model when it comes to the Wranglers. It is a very functional design, this Wrangler, and I've always been a fan of the design itself. There's no mistaking this for anything else than a Jeep Wrangler when you see it. It has such a clear identity. So very cool updates for 2025 for the Wrangler.